complaints. Today I'm going to do a lip tutorial, something I normally don't do. But I was inspired by the lovely Kandee Johnson here on YouTube. She did a red velvet lip and I thought I'm going to give that a go. So I've gathered together some items. Now I don't have what she had. She had two liners by MAC which were called Chestnut and Cherry. I don't own those. But I do have a lovely MAC liner here in called Freehand. I'm going to use that, and a perfect match I thought for the colour she used, which was Chestnut, which is a brown, is Demolition from Urban Decay. And I'm just going to line my lips, and then I've got a couple of Real Techniques brushes here to add the powder, because what it basically is, it's quite a long lasting lip because you're using liner, which is fairly long lasting, and then on top you're going to put a blusher, which is kind of just going to set that, and it kind of gives it that sort of matte sort of look, like a velvet. I don't have the same colour blusher she used, unfortunately, but I'm going to use this blusher in the Sleek palette. And because I'm using that, I'm going to use a Marilyn Monroe lipstick from the MAC collection, and I'm going to show you that now. There'll be a link at the bottom bar to Kandee's video on this look, and she actually uses a different type of red to me. It's a much richer sort of red. Very sort of burlesque, sort of 50s pin-up proper red. I don't have that kind of colour blush. So because I don't actually have the same colour blusher to match my lip liner, I'm actually going to use a lipstick in this look, which is something Kandee didn't do, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to apply a little bit of lipstick just so I can kind of get the blusher that you put on top to set the liner with a similar sort of colour to the colour underneath, because I don't have a lip liner this sort of colour. This one is by Sleek and this blush is called Bonfire. It's a beautiful red, and I'm going to use this MAC lipstick, which is Scarlet Ibis, which as you can see is a beautiful, beautiful match for Bonfire. So I will put on the liner, put a little bit of this. I'm not going to put a lot, I'm just going to dab it on and kind of smudge it in, just so that when you put the powder on top it doesn't look like really ridiculous because you've got slightly two different reds. So enough talk, let's get on with it. So the first thing she did was she lined her lips with the red pencil, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I always start in the centre. And this is the point where I just kind of wish my top lip was a little bit fuller. But I do sort of make it a little bigger. I'll also link a video of Nikkie of Nikkietutorials, and she shows you how to make your lips look bigger, because there's kind of like a line on your lips where you can go to, but you can't go beyond that or it would look, you know, really drawn on. But I'll link that video as well because I found it very, very useful. Okay, so that is the liner on. I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see a little bit of what I'm doing. And I'm now just going to use the liner to fill my lips in. And always remember to go right up into the corner. You don't want any gaps. I think this lip line is such a beautiful colour anyway. But that's that on. You feel quite sticky when you've got that on anyway, so I think a little lipstick on top will make it feel a bit better. Now the next thing to do is use a brown liner, but you want to be careful with this because you just want to do the very outer edges of your lips with this. I'm just going to quickly give that a quick sharpen because I think that it could be a little bit sharper. Demolition is a lovely cool toned rich dark brown colour from Urban Decay. It's really beautiful. You can always keep a concealer handy just to do any tie-ups around the outer edges. Or a little bit of a brush with a little bit of foundation on also works quite well. So now you want to go back to your lip liner. So I'm going back to Freehand. And you're going to use this to blend the brown to make the line not so harsh. And this is where you do get a bit of smudging sometimes. because I did a practice of this last night. And putting the cherry over that brown line, it just kind of softens it. So you're just kind of using the lip liner to sort of rub at the brown. You're like going on top of the brown and just pulling it inwards. So pulling it in over on the lips. Now I've made a little bit of a smudgy mess around the outside, but I am just going to quickly clean that up. So I'm just dabbing a little bit of the Revlon Photo Ready concealer around. I love this concealer, it's very creamy, it's really nice in stick formation, it's great for my skin colour. And then I'm just going to take a little brush, if I can get that back in there. I'm just going to take a brush from Real Techniques and I'm actually just going to use this. This is great because it's got a pointed end. Just kind of blend that, just so it tightens up the edges. Okay, so hopefully you can see now that I've got a nice sort of red centre there. A bit of sort of smudgy brown around the outside. Okay, so it's not perfect, I will not lie. But it's not looking too bad and I really like the colour. I like that you've got that darker sort of lip, but because you've blended it with the other colour, it doesn't look harsh anymore. There's a little area at the bottom where I've kind of blended a little too far. And what you can do is you can just touch this up and just, you know, continue to add the colours until you get it right. So now I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of the Scarlet Ibis lipstick to add a little bit of the colour to match the blusher. And I'm just going to dab this on and I'm just going to put it in the centre. Now, I chose this colour not only because it matches the blush but because it's matte. Now essentially this is a very matte sort of lip. So that really does go well with what you've just used, plus it kind of sticks to the liner really well and you should get like a really long lasting effect with it. But with that on, we're now going to use the blush from Sleek. And you just want to pack that on, just press it in. So that's the finished look. Just kind of gives you sort of a darkness around the outer edge, but the brown, because it's, you know, it blends in quite nicely with the red. So it is almost like sort of an ombre sort of lip in that you have a darker outside. But the brown just adds a little bit of interest really. It's quite an unusual colour, but because it's a very dark, cool tone brown, it blends in quite well. I really like it with these colours and it does actually feel like pretty long lasting. I mean, I'm touching it and really nothing's coming off, so we'll see. Yeah, but I like it. I like that red lip, and I've just done a very sort of neutral eye to go with that. I didn't want to go too over the top when you're doing sort of a red lip, which besides that kind of gives it like that sort of frosting sort of look on the top, where you get a red velvet cake, you've got like the creamy coloured frosting. So I just thought I'd go for something quite simple. But that was it really. That's the red velvet lip look. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This might not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm sure to get a bunch of dislikes on it. I'm not Kandee Johnson, I'm not an expert, I'm certainly not as beautiful or perfect as she is. I mean, she's amazing, but I wanted to try it, and that's what YouTube's all about for me. It's not about if you are the best makeup artist in the world, it's about sharing what you do, sharing what you try, and for me, makeup's for fun. It's to play around with, to enjoy, and why not give things a go and try them out. I like how it looks, I think it looks great in person. And I've used Urban Decay and MAC. I've used Real Techniques brushes and a sleek blusher, but you could get any cheap red blusher if you can find like a really red one. That would be great. Any brushes would do the job really. I've just basically used this pointed tip. I think it's a pointed tip foundation brush, but I actually use this for under the eye and around the nose area if I need to do any concealing, because it's got that nice pointed tip. So that was perfect to tidy around the lip area. Right, so yeah, so you could use any red lip liner if you could find something as red as this. In fact, I do have another red liner. I have this one, which is Rimmel Exaggerate Sleek Oh La La liner. And then I've got a number 7 one as well. I went through a stage where I could never find the right perfect red lip liner, and these are actually 3 different shades of red. And I'll quickly swatch the MAC one alongside those. So that one is the MAC one. That one is Sleek, that one is Rimmel, that one is number 7. So those reds are equally as good, and you can get number 7 in Boots, and you can obviously get Rimmel on the High Street and Sleek in bigger Superdrug stores that sell it, or you can purchase from Sleek online on their website. I got this MAC one in a gift set type of thing. And then really you're just looking for a cool toned dark brown chocolate line, a dark brown chocolate eyeliner. I'm sure that Rimmel and lots of other brands that are relatively, you know, cheap and good prices on the high street, they all would do a dark brown eyeliner. It's a standard thing. So you can probably get hold of a brown eyeliner really easy. As for the red blush, I'm not too sure where you would get that. To be honest, I think that, that's it there. The red blush is probably something that you can get easier in a cheaper makeup store, or on makeup sort of barrels, because they tend to have some quite unusual colours sometimes, which is quite good. Sometimes I notice when I look on those stands that they've got things that you would think, wow, that doesn't look so great. That blush actually looks quite nice on as long as you use a light hand with it, but it is also great as an eyeshadow, which is really good. So you can probably find a red blush somewhere that you could use for this look. So it's not something that is unachievable on the high street. You can definitely pick up products to do this if you wanted to give it a go as well. So I think I've waffled on for far too long now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I love you all and leave you, and see you all soon. Bye. And then I just used this lip brush from Real Techniques, which, did I use that? And I didn't use that brush. I was going to. Put it back, hang head in shame.